What's in the box?
JL Rock here, percent off collector, and we have a bunch of new items that I picked up from the thrift stores, flea markets. You want to see what's in my box? Let's head to the whiteboard. Alright, here we are at the whiteboard, and this is the first item that I got from the thrift store. This is the Marvel Legends series Yon Rog Kree. It's a 2018 figure from Hasbro. This came from St. Vincent's. This was in one of those bags where it's like a whole bunch of figures. I think the entire bag was $8, and I mean, it was packed. There was probably like 30 figures in there. Now, it was different types. They had some that were like Happy Meal toys and things like that, some small toys, but they also had some cool figures like this. This figure, I check Amazon a lot just because they usually go off of prices of other things, and I've seen this, it started at around $20 for this figure, and it came with a Build-A-Figure piece, but right now it's like 45% off. It's like 11 bucks, but it's still a good figure. As far as like posability, it's like there's a lot that you can do with it. You can bend it at the elbows, the head, the knees, all that stuff. This version isn't so bad actually. When you think about something that's used or something like that, it actually came out pretty well. Like, didn't have really any damage. I mean, if you look closely, you can see that it's been played with, so it's not mint or anything, but it's still a really good figure. So it's definitely something that was, worth the price. Let's see. Let's put this actually. We can lean you back here because earlier when I was playing with this, I was having trouble standing up. So you can see it there. All right. So next up, let's see, because you were also acting up earlier. You gonna stand for me? Oh, come on. He's like, no, man. I don't want to stand. All right, there we go. All right, let's move him so you can see him better. All right, so this one is from the Halo Reach Series 1, the Spartan George, and this one was released in 2010, and this also was in actually that same exact box. It was in that same bag that had a whole bunch of action figures. And hey, I was a fan of Halo since it first came out on the Xbox, first Xbox, and I loved the series all the way up. I loved Reach. It's just cool. I love the way the armor looks. It just looks sweet. Even like the worn look, I think it looks better than when it's like crystal clean. I mean, I've seen some figures that the armor has like no type of wear and tear on it, and it still looks sweet, obviously, but I don't know, there's just something about certain armor looks cool when it looks like it's been in a battle. And I like the colors here. Like, you still have most of that green, that Halo Spartan green, but then you have the little accents that kind of make them stick out. The orange, the red, things like that. Articulation's pretty decent too. You can move the hands, you can move the elbows. Head is kind of locked in, but that kind of makes sense with the helmet. Knees, like this one's a little stiff, but still, again, you can pose it. Same thing with the feet. For me, a lot of this is kind of like learning because I'm still new to collecting. So I would see figures like at a store or something, but it wasn't like I was out there specifically looking to buy. So for me, what I like to do is when I see a figure that looks cool, I'll get it, especially for that price. Like I said, it's $8 for like a whole bag of them. And then I'll look them up and see like, oh, what did people think? How popular was it when it first came out? And I love seeing the different years, like you have 2018 here, you have 2010 there. So I thought that was really sweet. But moving along, we got this guy. And this one is, oh, look at that. He was looking good, and then he got a little bit too drunk. This is the 2005 Bandai Power Ranger SPD Red Ranger. I don't know this series. I was a huge fan of like the original. I like Turbo. Every once in a while I would jump in and check out some of the other lines that, you know, came out. But I don't know this series that well. I just briefly looked it up and it looked cool. It's kind of it's kind of weird. It's like they seem almost like cops. Like a cop version of it, which is kind of strange, but you know, I guess either way, heroes and cops, they kind of play one, you know, both can, well, you know, I'm not getting politics. But anyway, this figure, like I said, 2005, is pretty cool looking. I like the armor. It's kind of weird because it's like, it is clearly red. It's not the camera or anything, but it seems like almost like a lighter type of red. I do like the gray accents and the black on it. That's kind of cool. This again was from that, I think it's the exact same bag that had all those action figures. You know, all this stuff is going to be missing some things. See, unfortunately, I didn't research this thing in the back. It's not a button. At least I don't think it is, because when I push on it, it doesn't do anything. Articulation is not that much. I mean, there's no bending of the knees. There's no bending of the elbows. The head does turn all the way around, so it's kind of strange, right? Like, you don't bend the elbows or the knees, but you can turn the head all the way around. So, I mean, I guess, and then I think you attach armor. That was one of the things I did see when I was looking this up, that there are pieces that you plug in here, and back here, so that's what, like, these holes are for, and then it's like, you get some more battle armor and stuff like that. But obviously, since this came from the thrift store, that was not in the bag, but still, you know, still pretty cool. Oh, now, I guess this one would have to go under our hospital ER for toys, and this one here. Let's see, does that show? Okay, let me move it slightly back. So this one is the 1986 M.A.S.K Firefly from Kenner, and if this is your first time watching any of my videos, you'll know that one of the things that I like to do is look for a vintage toy that was broken or missing pieces, especially if it's a good deal. I think I picked this up for like $1.50 on eBay, and obviously, like, you see, it's broken back here, it's missing things up here, but it still looked cool. And I never actually had a M.A.S.K figure as a child or collecting. So what I try and do is see if either I can fix it, you know, play around with it, you know, restore it, whatever. But if not, it's still, you know, it's still cool. I still like to enjoy it. I know that for some collectors, they look for the best, the mint and box and all that, and that's totally cool. But for me, I like seeing the toys in different sections, whether it's broken or not. It still does kind of like the transformation thing. So, and a lot of the M.A.S.K transformations weren't crazy anyway, but it was still cool, especially back then. Anything that kind of did a transform was cool. So, you know, you see the wheels missing, things like that. But again, for me, I just still like having the vintage item, especially if there's a new item to compare it to. So I primarily do that with Transformers. If I get a Transformers that's broken, especially if it's the original real G1 or something, that's cool because I most likely have a new model to go along with it. So I really enjoy this this little figure, and we'll see if I end up getting like something in the future to pair along with that. Next up, got this guy, little piggy, and he's got a weird stance, but I think I got it. All right, this is cool. All right, this is the 1997 Kenner Power of the Force Gamorrean Guard, and I always like these guys. I collected Star Wars kind of like any other kid back in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't like I was a huge specific fan of the guards, but they were just cool because they just looked like guards, right? Like you would expect Jabba's palace to have a guard like that. And the fact that they look so tough and mean but still have that squeal, I just think that combination was just, it was just smart. It was just a cool combination to have both that, you know, big, tough, I'll break you in half look, but then they still squeal if they get hurt or something like that. But this figure still looks pretty cool. I don't know a lot about that 1997 line. I was no longer really into figures at that time. I was already fully developed into video games. But, you know, this is pretty cool. I mean, there's not that much as far as articulation. Like, you know, you can move the head. I think the head goes all the way around. Yep, head goes all the way around. You can move the arms up and down, but not bend at the elbows. You can do a little twist. Do the twist. Oh, that'd be sweet, right? Like the piggy doing the twist. All right. But no bending at the knees, no turning ankle rockers, anything like that. But still, it's cool. You know, I think of it as a piece that, you know, Star Wars fan or not, you can put it somewhere and you could play around with other figures. Like, that's what I plan to do on Instagram. If you like, follow me on %off collector on Instagram. You can see where I'm taking pictures and I'll mix and match. I actually got like a little, I don't know if it's a dollhouse, because it's kind of like, it almost looks like a play set piece where you have the front of the house, like, you know, the front door and all that, and then you turn it around and it's like a living room entrance type of thing with a staircase. So I mean, maybe it's a dollhouse, but it's really cool. It was painted like gray and like almost like kind of like a haunted house. And I got that along with a bunch of action figures for like $10. And so I've been taking pictures, mix and matching, like someone coming to the door, and it'll be a different character answering the door each time. So that's cool stuff that I like to play around with over there on our Instagram channel. So check it out if you like. So our next item, and again, all of these items except for the M.A.S.K item came from those St. Vincent bags. There were basically 2 bags that I bought. One was 7, one was 8, and each of them had probably like 30 or something figures. So I am gonna go through each of them. Usually for these What's in a Box videos, I'm going to only do like maybe 8 to 10, because I don't want to make it too long. You know, I know you guys got things to do. But this is the 1995 Toy Biz Hercules The Legendary Journeys figure. And I was into Hercules back in the day. Not super a lot. In Chicago where I grew up, it came on WGN, our super station. And that station was awesome because as a kid, you know, there's no TiVo or internet thing for us back then. So this channel had like all the different type of shows all in one day. So even when there was something that wasn't interesting on the prime channels like ABC, NBC, CBS, like that, you could always turn to WGN and they would have something. So I liked Hercules, I liked Xena, so seeing this character in that bag was just cool because I actually didn't even know they made figures for the show. This thing has kind of like that, I forgot what He-Man line that is. If anyone knows the one where it's like he does a punching action, because I had that He-Man where you pressed on the back and he would punch. Ooh, you know what? That motion, that didn't look right. I apologize. But if anyone in the comments knows what that He-Man that punches, what that line was called, that was cool. But this one is cool. Like, even used after all this time, it still has that punching motion. It kind of does look weird though. This figure, it is pretty cool because you can bend it. I know a lot of Toy Biz figures. I actually had some of their other lines, and a lot of times it wasn't like super articulated, but it was cool. You know, you can bend the elbows, you can move around the shoulders. Head doesn't really turn, but that's fine. No turn on the waist, nothing on the actual feet. But this like tunic, I guess you'd call it, is cloth and it has Velcro, and it's like ooh sexy. Look at that. Take it off. Yeah, okay. But that was really cool. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh wow, that's actually like cloth, and it's like it's soft. So I just thought that was sweet. And again, this is one of those items that was in that box, and I was just like, okay, that's cool. Next up, this is Optimus Prime. This is 2013 Play School Transformers Rescue Bots figure, Optimus Prime. And I never watched the Rescue Bots. I do see it when I go on to Paramount Plus. I see it there, and it's like I was watching a couple other channels where they do like a history of different Transformers, and I was reading about, I think it was Cybertron, and they were talking about how even in the Play School Rescue Bots, there's lore connected to it because you have the connected universe. And I just thought, oh, that's sweet, because I mean, this is targeted for younger kids, but they still have lore that applies to all Star Wars, all Transformers fans. So I thought that was just pretty sweet. This figure, like I said, it's made for kids, so it's a little more sturdy. Not much as far as posability. You know, you can bend this back and forth. You know, nothing with the knees, but it has like nice big base so that you could plant. You could turn the weapon around, the fists, also the head. You could turn it around. On the back, you can't move anything or do anything, but I think it's still a cool toy. And I also think, like, again, regardless, it looks cool. It's something where it's like it sticks out. It kind of almost reminds me of kind of like the not the bobbleheads, but like just the smaller figures where it's not a lot about articulation. It's just about putting it with a bunch of other figures to showcase it. So I just think that is pretty cool. Now, last up, we go back to the emergency room. And again, as I said, I really like picking up items that are broken, and especially like if the non-broken item is super expensive. So this one is 1984. The company is M.A.S.K, and it's the Walkman Robo and camera MA1. And it's hard to find either of these together, together as in not broken. And because if it is, it's extremely expensive. I was able to get both of these for $8 on eBay. And yes, they are broken, but for me it was about having something that's vintage. And I love Soundwave, and I love Reflector. So to me, like, seeing like this is like almost like their ancestors and all that. So it's like, and still in the mode, like when you transform it, obviously you get to see more of what's missing. So like here, it's missing arms, you know. So obviously, collector, you know, if you're the type of collector, you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is not together. But for me, I just like the harder plastic, the little metal in between, and just the fact that it's vintage. And you never know, maybe one day I'll find like a working version, and that's, you know, together. But again, it's something that's expensive. Same thing here, really simple transformations, but here he's missing his leg. Actually, the head didn't come out either, I don't think. No, I don't think it did. I know it's supposed to like flip up and then out, but that was what I was having problems with before. But yeah, so I mean, sure. Again, most times people are not going to want a figure that is like broken, but I just like the fact that it's a Walkman. it's just out of time. And if you get the ones that are like still together, like these are really expensive. So that's the thing. Like if it's something where I knew it wouldn't be too hard to collect, then it would be something I would go after. But you know, these can be, I've seen like $100 or something for the ones they're still used, but they're just not broken. But so far, this is part of the line that I've gotten all together. And as a bargain collector, I really like finding things like this because, you know, it allows me to try out and see all these different types of figures and toys without paying a lot of money. I mean, altogether, you're talking about bags and bags and bags of toys for like $20, including like getting the M.A.S.K and getting these items. So that's not bad for me. It allows me to have some fun, provide some content, and then it saves me money to go after the higher items that I really like. So thank you for watching this second episode of What's in the Box. Tell me, what did you guys think of these figures? Do you have any of these? What did you think, especially of the items that were kind of broken, like the M.A.S.K and the Robo and the camera? Please leave a comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But until next time, remember our motto: no discount, no deal. Catch you later.